Look at that!
There's a big fish.
Next. During the summer months, there are all kinds of natural harvests going on, and as you're about to see, not all of them involve fish. So I thought it might be interesting to share a unique tradition that my wife Christine has gotten into in recent years.
Today I'm mushroom hunting with Mike on one of the Minnesota state forests, which is open to the public, and it's right on a trail. And we're gonna have a ton of fun.
Absolutely.
Is this just like a free-for-all? You just keep walking with your head down looking for mushrooms?
Mushrooms relate to, the mushrooms we're after relate to different types of trees. They're called mycorrhizal mushrooms. So chanterelles, for instance, will relate to some of the pines in the area. In the south, those same chanterelles would relate to white oak, where here up north, there is no white oak. So they've sort of made this relationship with pine trees.
Please teach me everything you can teach me today so I can continue doing this fun thing.
You bet.
All right. Now see, now, is this mushroom edible?
This one is not edible. This is a genus called Russula. And we know that from the way the gills attach here and the color, this stem, or they call it a stipe, would break like a piece of chalk. It makes a very snapping sound to it. So this one is best known for its slang name, which is the sickener.
Make you deadly sick.
It isn't going to kill you. You just might wish you were dead. Some of the ways you can learn about mushrooms, of course, we all have this great resource called the internet around. So there's a plethora of information, but unfortunately mushrooms have a lot of very intricate details that go into making a proper identification. So, you know, you can get so far, and on certain mushrooms that are the more easy to identify, you probably can do that. But from that point forward, you really kind of need to connect with somebody who can mentor you, or, you know, we offer classes, that sort of thing. This is really a good time of the year when most mushrooms are starting to debut, most of the kind of the mainstream of the mushroom season, which is really July through the end of October. And even into early November. And if you look there, there's some beautiful chicken of the woods. I have a lot of fun when people write me about this. That's all edible, and I tell them, absolutely not. Give me your address, let me come and remove it for you. When we're going down a new path like this, what I'm usually doing is I'm looking at maybe the first 10 yards off the path. Another interesting thing about mushrooms is they tend to like areas that have been disturbed. So whether that's human foot traffic or ATV trails or something along those lines, or a deer trail, anything like that, you'll often see certain types of mushrooms that grow right along that trail.
All right, where is it?
I'm gonna have you find it.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Chanterelle.
Tiny. Should you be bringing them out by the root like that, or does that matter?
No, that's okay. I usually, just kind of like you did, I usually push them over and then kind of snap off at the base.
Because they also say not to take the root.
Not really based in science.
God, I've been living a lie. My whole life I've been living a lie.
Usually a lot of regrowth occurs where you do that. Not going to harm things.
Okay, I got mushrooms.
You know, Confucius said, all things are beautiful, not everybody sees it. And this is a great example. This is called the old man of the woods. For fairly obvious reasons, it looks like a really old mushroom, even though this is a really young, fresh one. This is an entirely different type of mushroom called a bolete. And boletes don't have gills at all. They have pores that their spores drop through. So here's one that's really at a much more mature stage. You can really see the dramatic difference. These are not gills at all. They're, you know, if you came in very close, you could see that it's just a series of irregular shaped holes that the pores are dropping spores out of.
Well, that was a good find.
Yeah, 2 more edibles.
What do we want to turn black though today?
Well, pasta with squid ink is a favorite at some restaurants, so you can kind of make a play on it with these mushrooms. Lobster.
Oh, I see it.
So you remember the Russula that we looked at right off the bat?
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a Russula when it begins, but it's attacked by another type of mushroom called hypomyces. And so when it's done with this paratization, we end up with this third completely different mushroom called Hypomyces lactiflorum, or a lobster mushroom. This is really in prime condition. This is how you want to pick them, when they have really firm, it's orange, you don't see any red or maroon, which will happen later in their life. And when you turn it over, so you can actually see these gills that are still remnants of the old Russula that used to be, but it turns it into this bizarre sort of shape, and it derives its name from the color. That's probably a half-pound lobster.
Now, what would be the easiest way to cook this?
A lot of people like this mushroom as much for the texture as they do for the flavor. It has a very unique texture and a little bit like a water chestnut. It's so almost crunchy even after it's cooked. You know, you can cook these the same way you cook white button mushrooms in all your dishes at home.
Okay, well, let's head back and put these
Absolutely.
to good use.
Yes.
Let's eat some of these babies.
When you want a dependable truck, you want the most awarded pickup of 2014.
I was born free.
You want the truck from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road. You want the Chevy Silverado, made of high-strength dependability. Chevrolet, find new roads.
Sounds like a great trip.
Sure was.
The Great Taste from Kris's Kitchen, brought to you by the Great Taste of Johnsonville Sausage.
Welcome to my kitchen, everyone, where today I have Mike with me. And let me tell you, we started out in the field, found some awesome mushrooms, wild mushrooms, and Mike's gonna show me how to clean them, and then we're gonna make an awesome recipe with pheasant.
Today we're just going to use chanterelles for the recipe. It's really easy. I'm just going to use a soft bristle toothbrush. You want to give a scrub to these gills because you get little pieces of grit that can be caught in there, and nothing spoils your meal quicker than biting into a piece of grit.
Now, Mike, how many do we need for this recipe?
The recipe calls for a ½ pound, but since we have more than a ½ pound, we'll probably use more than a ½.
Okay, we'll cheat today. Okay, to start this great recipe is with flour, and I like to add some salt and pepper to this. And then meanwhile, I'll get these coated. You can put the grapeseed oil in.
Grapeseed oil to pan fry the pheasant breast.
And I'm gonna just coat these real good for you.
And we're just going to saute these until they get a nice brown on them, but we're going to be real careful not to cook them too long on the front end here because they're skinless.
Okay, now we take these out.
Yep, we're just going to remove these and let them sit for a little bit, and we'll throw in those shallots here. And we're going to throw in the mushrooms. Reduce these down quite a bit here. It'll probably take 5 minutes or so. And you want to make sure that you really fully cook mushrooms because all wild mushrooms have the potential to give you some gastric upset. The mushrooms are about done here. So we're going to take about a cup of stock and we're just going to deglaze the pan with that. And then we're going to add the sour cream. And then we're going to just add our spices here.
And that's thyme.
And a little paprika. So we've reduced it by about half. And we're going to throw a little cold butter. The last thing we're going to do is we're just going to throw back our pheasant.
Now, do you want me to turn that heat down a little bit?
And we're going to reduce the heat, exactly.
Okay.
So we're all done. Look at that.
It smells wonderful in here. It looks wonderful. Let's have some.
I'm guessing it's going to
Let's have
taste
some.
wonderful. Yeah.
Chanterelle, mushroom, and pheasant with sour cream sauce. An outstanding recipe. And Mike, thank you so much for joining me today in my kitchen and at the same time out in the woods.
Thanks for having me.
You are a fun guy.
I appreciate it.
I'm Kris Winkelman, and thanks for joining us today in my kitchen.
Psst, hey, down here, we've got some really cool stuff going on. Like weekly giveaways for some of the same great gear we use on the show, stuff worth hundreds of bucks. Subscribe to our e-newsletter that's full of super tips and offers. Share your picks and get your daily fix on the outdoors. Oh, gotta go, but swing by and like us on Facebook, okay? You'll be glad you did.